So I think I got one of the coolest trucks here on this platform, and let me show you why. This here is a 1974 F100. And I know it doesn't look like it, but when I got this body, it was on a, its original chassis. The guy slammed it to the ground and did some botchery framework to make it lower. And what I've done is I've taken it and I've put it on my 1997 F250 chassis. Now, when this was a 90s body, I'd put an 89 Dana 60 Kingpin front axle on it. I dually swapped it, put factory dually hubs in the front, Aerocraft dually adapter kit in the rear. I put a 33-gallon Bronco tank, which I just had to replace recently due to a leak in the back. And I've had that bumper on the back of the truck for several years. I got that when I got my front axle. The headache rack came from a different truck back in New York where I was from. And now she's a 1974 F350. I'll just say it as that. And I get a lot of people who, when I post comments on my truck on groups, I talk about, my truck here on TikTok or YouTube, and I get people going, no, the 70s wasn't a Power Stroke. And they're absolutely right. But this one is. And this swap is becoming very popular. Here she is in all her glory. And she fits in there well. Again, this is sitting on its original chassis. And as you can see, I don't have AC or nothing like that. I have somewhat of a heating system, but it's not the best, And as you can tell, it's a dirty old 7.3. I did what I had to do to make it work within a short period of time, since in my mind, truck's got to be driven. This is my daily driver. You'll see, guys do this swap on Super Duties and whatnot. And what they'll do is they'll cut the floor out and the firewall out, and they'll have the Super Duty dash, steering column, and interior, just so that way they don't have to make it work with the 70s, and they can keep their comforts. But me, I'd rather keep as much of this 70s as I can. So she's bolt action. This is a 90s ZF5. I had swapped in here back in New York in late 23, early 24. The cluster is 90s cluster mashed with the 70s. I took the 70s stuff off the 70s cluster and put it on there. Speedometer, RPM stayed the same. And this is my interior. I have a shelf from my 90s cab with my CB radio. Let's see here. Air horn. Oh yeah, air horn don't work with unless the key's on. Forgot about that. But anyway, I try to keep this thing as 70s as possible. The door speakers are funny enough, they're out of a Duramax. Seat belts are out of a square body because I didn't have anything to make it work except for junkyard parts laying around my old job. I got a new seat that I need to install in this truck, since this one's realistically, it just needs to be redone. I'm probably going to sell this seat or maybe keep it in the garage. But this is what the interior of my truck looks like. 90s back seat, 90s front seat. And I'm putting in a different seat that's a universal seat that they put in the old 80s and 90s crew cabs and vans and stuff like that. It's a really cool seat. I can't wait to show you all what I got coming. Shotgun gauge shell for headlights. That's from a Hobby Lobby store. Ford dresser drawer knob. And everything like that, And as far as anything else goes, everything works. And if you're somebody who's looking to do a similar swap on an 80s to 90s chassis, gas or diesel, if you're doing it on a powerstroke chassis, you need the firewall cut out for the plugs and everything right there in front of the driver's side. And then for the bumper and core support, use the front frame horns from the 70s. You cut the 90s down, you get rid of the little elbow for the front bumper horns, and you weld in the 70s right on the inside of the frame, and bam, you can put the bumper and the core support on there. I took the rad support brackets off the 90s and welded it here to the 70s so I can take my radiator in and out, and it's all plug and play. Front cab mounts are from the 70s, same with the rear. Because on this body style for the 70s, it's actually on the outside of the frame, like the front there. And then the bed is sitting on blocks because the bed, you know, the body, technically it's a 2-inch body lift. It's just the way it worked. So, yeah, this is my truck, and, you know, you can argue with me whose truck is better. And I support everybody who's got a really cool truck. Cummins, Duramax, square body, first gen, it don't matter. But this is just my truck, and this actually was never meant to be this. You know, I had a really close friend of mine pass away in 2021. He has a 77 F100. He turned F350. His was dual twin stick with a 460 big block. We ended up putting a 12 valve Cummins in it with a Zia NV 4500, and, you know, just who I am and my knowledge and the stuff he taught me, this is just what happened to my truck because it's a tribute. This truck is a memory to him. And yeah, so this is my truck. I think it's one of the coolest trucks that I have ever personally owned. And you know, I think I got one of the coolest trucks here on TikTok. So and there are a lot of cooler trucks, I'm not gonna lie, but this is mine, so to me, this is the coolest truck. You know, it might be a 7.3 powerstroke with 346,000 miles, but I don't care. And I do have plans for this truck. If that motor does eventually ever quit on me, I plan to do one of 3 engine swaps. One is the International DT 360 or something like, you know, it's the International 5.9 liter. Or a 12 valve swap. I'm not, you know, I'm whatever, wishy-washy with either one of those. Or I just spend money and have this engine completely redone, you know. Those are my 3, what I'm thinking of. Who knows how long down the road this will take. But as far as I care right now, she runs and drives really good. And I just love it. It just tickles me to drive this truck every day. And so, yeah. And then that's the Bronco that I don't know what we're doing with it yet. But that's just my little rant and rave, you know. Hit that thumbs up if you guys like the truck, and, you know, follow me, find me on YouTube, do what you gotta do. But yeah, thank you.